Brick City Monk, your man Devious, coming to you once again. I was sitting here having a conversation with a friend, and a question occurred to me. Who taught you to emote the way that you do? Like when somebody takes something away from you, you feel a certain type of way. When somebody slaps you, you feel a certain type of way. If a man breaks your heart or a woman breaks your heart, you feel a certain type of way. Who taught you that? Who taught you how that's the corresponding thing to do with this corresponding action? Who taught you that when somebody dies, you're supposed to cry? When somebody is born, you're supposed to rejoice. Who taught you those emotions? Who taught you to be happy about that? About a new person coming into this world and about somebody leaving? Who taught you that? Because that's taught to you. You didn't know that when you got here. There's a lot of things we don't know when we get here that we're taught. We don't recognize that it's a taught thing. We think it's the human thing. We think that's what we're supposed to do. We don't recognize that we have a choice because we've done what we've been taught to do. So when someone passes away that you know and you've loved them and you're going to miss them, as opposed to wishing them well on the journey, whatever that new journey could be, you cry and you lament and you tear your heart out about it. The opposite, when somebody is born, gets pregnant, or a couple gets pregnant and they are going to have a baby. People rejoice, they throw parties. Why? That's a new life that's going to have to come into this world and endure all the hardship that you experience right now, and maybe some other horrors that you haven't even heard of and probably won't ever think of, because maybe you'll be gone by the time they come. So who taught you to be happy about that? Who taught you to rejoice about that? That seems to be like a moment of sorrow where everybody should reflect solemnly about all the things that they're doing in their life and maybe how we need to correct this, because this is the village that this child is going to come into. And in order for this child to be a thriving member of society, we might need to correct this village before the child gets here. Why isn't that the thing? How is it that we came to get these ideas and we never question why we do it this way? You don't ever ask why you cry when somebody dies. You've never questioned why you rejoice when somebody has a baby. You never questioned why, when the man left or he was cheating on you, why you felt the way you did. How is it that if the man cheats, or you find out something that he doesn't want to be with you anymore, or the woman finds out, whatever, you fix your own pronouns? Why is it that we haven't been taught to look at it like, oh, well, that person wasn't the person I thought they were, and they weren't for me, apparently. So this is my opportunity to move on and have a better life and find the thing or person or whatever that I need to do or want to be with in order to make my life the thing that I want it to be. Why are we stuck in negativity? Why are we stuck in repetitive chewing over the conversations and the actions, and he did this and they did that and she said this and this happened, and as opposed to moving on? All the stuff that has happened has happened. There is nothing you can do to undo what has happened. Not all the chewing on it, gnawing on it, regurgitating it, rolling it over in your mind, rolling it over in your mouth. It doesn't matter. None of that is going to change what has already happened. And yet we continue to take, and like cows, we sit and chew like a cud over and over again on the same things over and over again, ruminating. That's why cows are called ruminants, because they chew the things over and over again. And we do that. And yet somehow we seem to think that we're different from animals. The furthest thing we want to be is called, or be called, is an animal. But yet our behaviors tell us all the time that we are animalistic. Somebody call you an animal, you're offended. You are an animal. We are all animals. Humans are the only animals that don't want to act like the animal that they are. And maybe that's a good thing sometimes. Because we're the worst of the animals. Actually, I don't know if it's just humans or if it's male humans. I don't know. That's a conversation for later, I guess. Maybe we'll get into that, because if you Saw the last video. Men are women's apex predator. But a thought occurred to me, and I was going over some notes, and it occurred to me that men are not just women's apex predator. Men are the apex predator of the planet, and that includes other men. Yeah, digest that. The first thing your mind went is to jail. Because when man, and it's all men locked down, there's a hierarchy. There are some who are the top fighters and the top survivors, and there are others who are the food. And the food will get eaten. It doesn't matter how many rules we put in place, we are animals. If we would take a moment and admit that to ourselves real quick, we would be able to look at the comparisons of the animal kingdom and the human, and we would be able to go, okay, well, this is what happens there, so obviously it's going to happen in us. So I should expect something other than what happens in nature to happen in humanity. But they've got y'all on this whole fairy tale thing, so y'all think that, marriage is going to fix it all. But yeah, you've been taught that. You've been taught how to emote. You have been taught what to think. You have been taught how to feel. And you don't even understand that yet. You haven't fully digested the fact that every feeling that you have is something that has been rehearsed from your past. You have chewed it over and decided this is the appropriate response to this particular type of situation. And probably it's a situation that you haven't been in for the first time. So every time that you're in that situation, it edifies you when you act that way. Yeah, I did it because and X, Y, Z, and this, Y, that, and this. There's always a reason. We have to take a look at our behavior. We have to take a look. We can try to justify our superiority all we want to, and that's the only thing trying to be superior is going to do is put us in a hierarchy, because your superiority only extends so far, and you know that. There's somebody else's superiority who is beyond yours. So once you start making hierarchy, don't get upset when you realize that you are not at the top of said hierarchy. And men, as much as we think we are, like as far as animals are concerned, yeah, here on the planet, yeah, we pretty much have dominion, for lack of a better term. We can do pretty much what we want to just about any animal in any particular environment, and few of them can stop us. But the environment itself is a predator against us. Every day your environment is trying to kill you, because we live in such what we call a civilized society, and we've gotten to the point where we have creature comforts. We have buildings that we live in that can that can change the atmosphere so that we're not too hot or too cold. We have food at our ready. We don't have to go and kill it. We don't have to hunt it down. We don't have to set traps for it. We don't have to always go fish for it. We do that now for sport and leisure. The things that we used to do for survival, we now do those for sport and leisure. The world is not the same. And yet, we don't ask ourselves, in this ever-changing world, how is it that we continue to act the same way? I don't understand. Yes, I do. I gotta stop saying that. That's like my go-to phrase. It's like, I don't understand. Yes, I do. I do understand, which is why I do this. There aren't many people who see it or anything like that, but that is fine. Somebody see it, and somebody might get a new idea, and that new idea might change something that we have no idea the magnitude of how far reaching that idea can be. And that's all we can do. All we have is what we have to give. But we should pull away from the ideas that we have to continue to act the way that we've been taught to act. Because you see it on a soap opera, in a movie, or in a novella or something like that, does that mean that that's the way that you have to respond to that situation in life? You can always choose a different response. It's always up to you to choose that response. There is a person that I find, and you've heard me talk about it before, if you've heard me talk at all, Bashar. If you ever listen to Bashar speak, there's something that he says that I love, and a lot of people don't get this, but I hope that you get it. If you're watching this, I hope that you get it. And that is, life has no meaning. Life is inherently meaningless. It is up to you to give it meaning. If you don't give your life meaning, your life will be meaningless. The people who give their life meaning, you can see the meaning in their lives. You can see how they flourish. You can see how they stand in front of the world. We haven't been taught to pick purpose. Of all the things that we're taught that we have to pick a lot of things. You have to pick a wife. You have to pick a husband. You have to pick a school. You have to pick a place to get married. You have to pick a wedding date. You have to pick a wedding dress. You got to pick what you're going to name your kids. You have to pick all these things, but you don't pick that. That's not where you want to start. Weird. You can choose a different reality. It does not have to be the sorrow that you have imagined in your past. Because most of the sorrow there is placed by you. You place the sorrow on it. I'm not saying something bad didn't happen to you, because there are people who will watch this and go, oh no, you can't say that. I had this happen to me and this happened to me. But how you choose to feel about what happened to you is up to you. And that's something that we don't get often. We think we have to respond this way. If somebody abuses you in a certain way, you have to respond as a victim. You don't. You could actually respond from a position of power. That's something that I learned that happens in the world, and it will never happen to me again. I don't know that many of us understand that if you choose victimhood, victimhood will choose you back. Whatever you choose, chooses you back. So if you choose to be a victim, you will always be a victim, because being a victim will be the only thing that you will be able to think about. So you will do things that victims do. You will be in places that victims are. You will be in circumstances created by a victim. You have to train your mind. And that's the one thing that I know that they don't teach us here in this American school system, is to teach your mind any fucking thing. They want to cloud it with a whole bunch of bullshit so that they will have control over it when it is time. When they need to mold your brain into what it is they need it to do, they want it to be malleable enough to absorb what it is they're going to put in it. That is all. They don't teach you that you have the power to figure out your destiny for yourself, and that the only satisfaction that you will ever have in this life is choosing for yourself. That's not said to you. It's not a popular idea pervasive in our society. Of course not, because that idea does not serve the people who want you to continue to choose sorrow and victimhood. That weakens your frequency. That weakens your strongest defenses. To feel that you are powerless, to feel that you are nothing, to feel that you are helpless, to feel that somebody has to come and rescue you. And women, I'm talking to you. Because you are the people who they have taught that to the most. You know who they are. I ain't got to say it out loud. That is who. They have taught you to be that, so that they can always get to you. They want you to be a helpless damsel in distress. Rapunzel, Rapunzel. They want you to be that. Every story is some helpless woman who needs a man to come in and save her at the 11th hour. And you drink that in. You don't realize how much of that you want. You don't realize that. After a certain time, you want to be that princess. You want to be that damsel. You want to be rescued from that tower. I don't care if you're the CEO of your own company and you have built a multi-million-dollar business. There's something in you that still wants that. Because they made you want that. They've told you that that is the key to womanhood. That is the key to feeling like a whole woman, to have a man, to have children. Those are the things that make you feel like a woman, not you yourself. Not you standing in your power and doing the things that you decide to do for you. No, no, no. They want you bound to other people. They want you legally bound to a man. They want you biologically bound to children because you were chattel. You went from your father to your mother. From your father, to your husband. Is how they want. That's the plan. That's always been the plan. To give this woman, to keep her power bound, to give her from one man to another so that he can continue to squeeze the power out of her. That's the plan. For men to usurp as much power from you as they pass you from one to the other. I keep trying to tell women, you all don't belong with us. Somebody, this thought, sometimes I write down my thoughts, and I was reading back over some of the notes that I had, and I came across this thought that I wrote down where I had written, people believe that races shouldn't mix, but they believe that sexes should mix. Yeah, I know y'all like, what? What does that mean? The sexes have to mix, otherwise there won't be people. I don't, in my opinion, that's not the worst thing that ever happened to the world. 99% of every species that has ever been on this planet is extinct. It is gone. And we will be too someday. So we scrounge for more immortality. We scrounge for it. We keep trying to do things to make ourselves immortal. Like, if I have enough children and then they have enough children, then I'll live on forever. Nobody gives a fuck 3 days after you're dead. Nobody gives a fuck about you 3 days after you're dead. It is over. So all this planning to have some future progeny that will carry on your name in perpetuity is bullshit, because it's not going to happen. It's never happened. In the history of history, that plan has never ever worked. It never fucking works. It's like the ideal of marriage. No, it never works out the way that you think it's going to work out. It's the same thing with your progeny. They never come out the way you think they're going to come out. Ever. They never come out the way that you think they're going to. So all your plans about what you think that they're going to be for the future are already out the window. Your kid has plans of their own. They have their own life. They're going to live that. They're going to give meaning to the reason why they are here. It's not up to you. We sometimes try to leave instructions called traditions and customs and shit. Like, it's instructions from dead people about how we should be doing things today is really what it is. We don't have to do the shit that was already done already. So what? They've been doing it for 100 years. Nobody gives a fuck. We could do it a completely different way tomorrow. But yet somebody's taught you that tradition is noteworthy. It is worthy of reverence. It's something that you should hold on to. Because they want you to carry on their ideas into the future. That's why. That only makes sense when you want somebody to carry your ideas into the future. Otherwise, you would challenge people to find out what ideas work for them in their life. In the last video, I talked about how once a baby is born, the first thing we try to do is fill it with ideas, our ideas, and not think about the fact that that brand new person might bring brand new fucking ideas. You're so busy and so fucking arrogant and narcissistic that you think that you have to pump your ideas into this baby. You think you have to fill it full of your fucking ideas. It has to do things the way that you did it. It has to be a little you, my mini me. Y'all really shouldn't be allowed to make people. This should be a fucking educational test before motherfuckers are allowed to make people. You should have to pass a goddamn test. Dead ass. Y'all should pass it. We have to get like China and make y'all start having only one. Because you don't take it fucking seriously. You don't take it seriously. There are very few people who take it seriously enough. The amount of people I know who take it seriously versus the amount of people who fucking just have kids. It's astronomical. Do better. If God is perfect in everything, right? If y'all believe that God is perfect in everything, how do y'all think that there are imperfect people anywhere? How are there people that you laugh at? How are there people that you shame? How are there people that you find unattractive? What? God is perfect. He makes everybody perfectly, right? He doesn't make mistakes. What's the deal? Are you not looking at his creation like he would? Lovingly on every single thing for its beauty? Y'all will let these white Christian nationalists get y'all fucked up. And it's really just Nazism brushed off and presented anew. It's weird. But yeah, I would really, I'm curious to hear what people think, how they think they're different from animals. Because nothing but rules makes you different from animals. And here's the thing about rules. We think rules change something. Rules aren't meant to change anything. Rules are meant to make people that you can demonize, that you can ostracize, that you can point a finger at. That's what rules are for. Because the more money you have, the fewer rules you have to follow. Because the lower you are on the hierarchy. So the lower you are on the hierarchy, the more prone you are to rules.
Trump is a big example of that.
It's the people who are at the lowest who are prone to the most rules. Look at the people who are in jail. There's some of them who are locked down 23 hours a day. You can't get no more rule than that. You can't get no more rule than that. And they are the lowest on the totem pole in our society. We have to take a look at. Maybe is it me? Are we not seeing this? We don't see this? You know why? I know why. Let me tell you why. Because we are controlled by what offends us. We're controlled by what offends us. So the things that offend us make us, and it's interesting to watch people in their offense do certain things. The people who are offended by, let's say, child abuse, the first thing they do is start demonizing it. They have to talk out against it. They have to say something. They have to let people know that is not who they are. We always take that stance in society where we have to demonize somebody for doing something, right? But the interesting part of that is, and you're going to hate what's about to come out of my mouth in the very next vote, is that even the most hated thing that somebody is doing is a human thing. It's a human thing. It could be the most deplorable act that you could think of. I don't give a fuck. It is a human. It's something that we do. It's something that humans do. Because in the history, if you look back, you'll see people doing it. The whole thing, whatever it is. I don't care what thing you have picked in your mind. From murder to rape to whatever. People have been doing it. No amount of rules has changed the fact that that is a human behavior. And you know the other thing? If you look in the animal kingdom, you'll see it too. You'll see animals rape other animals. You'll see the males of the species. Oftentimes, if they aren't getting what they want, sometimes particularly in the monkey kingdom, there are some animals who they only have certain times of the year where they are even receptive to mating with, the opposite sex of their species. But there are certain other animals who, just like humans, if they get aroused, they want to do it. And they do. And even penguins, I found out. Penguins will do it to a dead penguin. And I'm not saying that this is stuff that we should tolerate or is palpable or is good or any of that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it's stuff that happens because people do it too. We have people who fuck dead people. We have people who sexually assault a corpse. In fact, I just saw a thing on social media where that's a new charge that Puffy is charged with. I don't know if that's true or not. That's allegedly, so I don't know. It could have been some spoof on social media, but regardless, what I'm saying, I say that to say that it's something that people do. It's not unheard of. So and that's the part that we get caught up in. We get caught up in trying to control the behavior of other people. And I get that there are certain times that there are interventions needed, but we carry it way too far. And that's the problem, that we don't see the slippery slope between making sure that this person isn't a menace to society and taking away all of these people's rights. We don't see the slippery slope there. We have taken away a bunch of people's rights in this country over and over again, saying that it is for the security of another group of people. We have to protect the unborn babies, so women can't have abortions. We have to protect the citizens of the United States, so we have to get rid of illegal immigrants. When does that stop? When does that stop? When does that stop? When do we stop pointing down and going, and when do we start asking for proof of this? When do we stop listening to a news narrative and believing the narrative on the news and going, yeah, we need to get them out of the country? Like, at what point do we ask for proof that these people are a menace to society? At what point do we ask for proof that it is in the best interest of the entire country to not let women have abortions? Where's the proof? They've got you not even looking for proof. You know how? Religion. So you don't ask for proof. You're taught not to ask for proof. You need to start asking yourself where these ideas came from. You are taught not to ask for proof. They tell you a virgin had a baby. He walked on water. Rose people from the dead. Where's the proof? Oh, this book we have, it's a book. It's written in the book. That's the proof. The proof is in the book.
That's all you need is that one book.
He ain't writing it nowhere else. No, it's just right here in this book. And that's sufficient. That's why it's so hard for us to ask for proof for anything else. That's why it's so hard for many of us to ask for proof for anything else. And this, when they present things to us, we accept it because we are not used to asking for proof. We have been taught to whatever narrative is fed that we haven't heard before, we're going to believe that narrative. Whoever came up with it, if he looks nice and he seems like a presentable person, and of course we know any white male in this society packaged in a suit or something like that, the thing that they've taught us to believe is a sign of authority and virtue. If we hear it from that particular moniker, then we should believe it. And we have. And we have. So well have we believed it that they don't even have to have the white men telling us anymore. They taught it to enough black men to tell you. So now you'll believe it twice because it's coming from somebody that looks like you. It's diabolical. Yeah, it's fucking diabolical. It's diabolical how we don't ask. We're taught not to ask. We're shamed into not asking. We're taught things where you ask a person of authority a question that if you're a child and the particular question is of a certain topic, that you are being disrespectful. If it is of a religious nature, the answer is God will show you what he will show you. You have to wait for God's time. And trying to rush God is disrespectful. Who are you to ask God for proof? All this stuff is written in the Bible in some shape, form, or fashion. Everything that I'm saying is written in there in some shape, form, or fashion. You have to wait for God. And that's what they use. But who does that serve? See, the thing that bothers me the most, I think, is that we don't even look at the messenger. You don't ask yourself, is the person who's telling me to do this doing it? Are they living the way that they telling me that I should live? Again, I went to school in Alabama. We had a campus chaplain. I don't know if that's a thing on every campus. It probably is, but I've only been on my campus to know. The campus chaplain at my school told us that in the 30 plus years that he had been a pastor, that of the thousands of ministers that he met, 5 of them were straight. I remember that number because he held up his hand. He didn't say 5%. He didn't say anything like that, anything ambiguous where you would have to do some math and figure out a number. He held 5. This is a man with 30 years in the ministry, and he knew 5. Now, here's the thing about straight. I don't know if he was talking about they mess with kids type of straight. I don't know how that translated. I don't know how that translated. I don't know what he saw. I don't know what was told to him. I remember that he said that number. Reverend Trescott from Talladega College. Yeah, Reverend Trescott. 5. And these are the same men who tell you that you should hate trans people. These are the same men that go to Republican national conventions and get on an app that's a gay men's hookup app and cheat on their wives while they're there for the convention. These are the same men who tell you that you should abort, that you can't abort your babies. These are those same men. These are the same men who hook up with their secretaries and their the wives of other men in the office while they're there. These are the same men. These are the same men who are behind this Project 2025 bullshit. These are the same men who kept slaves. These are the same men who started the Catholic Church. These are the same men who started the Protestant Church. These are the same men who are over the Jewish Church. These are the same men. It's the same men. I don't give a fuck what tag you put on them. See, that's the problem that we have. We believe rebranding. That is the fucking problem. We believe rebranding. Somebody comes and rebrands some shit, they give it to you in a whole new different way, and all of a sudden you are on board slavery. No, we can't have slavery, but if they're prisoners, yeah, we can have slavery. What? Wait, do we have it or not? We fell for it. We allowed it. We allowed that one to slip through. We didn't know that they were going to take that. See, your tragedy is always an opportunity for somebody else. Anytime you are in a tragic situation, the first person who comes around offering you a solution is the person you got to look at twice. Because for every tragic situation, there's somebody waiting around looking for how they can do better in that particular situation. I don't care if there's a fucking tsunami, there's going to be somebody selling boats. If there's a fucking fire, somebody going to be selling bottled goddamn water. Somebody is always looking to turn your tragedy into a payday for themselves. So, the rebranding that we have been doing in this country for the past 300, 400 years, we have to stop believing that. Because see, that's how, again, like this started with things like, for me anyway, in my consciousness, maybe that's not the beginning of the whole country's legacy of rebranding and us fucking believing it. But slavery, in my awareness, is where, for me and my people, the bullshit started. But see, now they've taken it up to genocide. Because see, when they got here, they killed as many people as they fucking could. But now they're doing it, they've done it in other countries. They did it in India. They did it in Africa. They did it in Australia. They did it in South America. They did it further up in North America. Just about anywhere these white motherfuckers go, they do the same goddamn thing. But now, because it's in Palestine, it's no longer genocide. Yes, it is a fucking genocide. But they rebranded it. It's a war. They're firing on people who don't have any artillery. Newborn babies, women, children, fathers trying to get their families to safety. The whole notion of criminality. They've given criminality such a face that when a real criminal stands up, people get behind them and they start cheering the criminal. Because we haven't taken criminality seriously to the point, the only time we take it seriously is when it has a face or color. That's when it becomes seriously critical. That's when it's real criminality in this country, only if it gets a color to it. If it doesn't have a color, it's not real criminality, because the billions and billions of dollars that they steal from Americans every year for a variety of reasons. We can start with the reasons for racism, the amount of money that Black Americans have to pay out extra over taxes for their homes, from living in areas where the taxes are raised up high for no fucking reason, to the amount of money that is taken out of checks for us, to the amount of money that we pay back in taxes with goods, to pick a struggle. Pick a fucking struggle. But billions of dollars, nobody goes to jail. Billions of dollars and nobody goes to jail. Because it's a corporation. The corporations can fuck the people over, but there are laws to protect the corporations from the people. How did that happen? On our watch. Rebranding. They've done such a good job. You don't even realize. You can't even look at the real criminals and tell that they're criminals because they wear such expensive suits. Because they are a part of your country club. Because of the nice new yacht. These are people who steal from the wealth, like literally the wealth, who have literally stolen the wealth of the nation. I don't want to put it like it's not happening. It's actually happened already and is continuing to happen. That's who this is. But they rebranded themselves. They're just businessmen. They're just businessmen. They're just businessmen. How collectively we have to wake up from this fucking nightmare. It can't be done by one person who knows it. And let me tell you something. Let me explain this real quick. It's interesting. It's an interesting way to go through life and have a lot of information, right? But ignorance truly is bliss. Because the less you know, the easier it is to flow through life. The easier it is to ignore injustice. Because you don't have any knowledge that there's an injustice being done. Ignorance truly is bliss. It is the raw, the most gut-wrenching terror to be aware in this society today. It's frightening to walk amongst you all, knowing that you really don't give a fuck, that you're completely oblivious to what is happening, and the reason that our country is in the state it's in and could possibly spiral into worse is because we are unaware. We have been kept ignorant and blissful for a long time. We've been kept comfortable. They made sure that we are comfortable. That's one thing that this country will do. They are going to make sure that you are comfortable. No, they will not give you health care for you and your family. They will give you Medicaid. They won't pay you enough to be able to feed your family well, but they'll give you food stamps. They always make it seem like they're doing a favor when they're the ones who created the tragedy in the first place. See, if everybody is put on living wages, on wages that can help the family thrive, then there's no need for food stamps. If companies are forced to, or the government offers social medicine, where everybody can go to the hospital without any bills coming to your house later. Maybe we wouldn't need Medicaid and Medicare and all the other subsidies that the hospitals and institutions have to provide care for indigent people. They create the problem and they sell you the solution. Always to make themselves look like the heroes, though. Captain Sabo. They're always going to come in and say, you can't take care of yourselves. We didn't leave Medicare free, but we will give you the Medicaid. You got to pay the 20% with Medicare, but with Medicaid, we'll give it to you free. You can't go to any quality doctors, though. No quality treatment, bare minimum, bare bones treatment with everything across the board. You have health insurance, but just barely. In the same country where when you buy a house, you pay taxes up front, you pay taxes on the deal, you pay taxes the whole time you have the house, and then they raise your taxes in the middle of your mortgage cycle, and when you sell your house, there's taxes. And if you ever pay your house off, you still pay taxes. And we don't see anything, we haven't complained about that. Do y'all know other countries would have been up in arms? France, when they did shit like that in France took to the streets. The Netherlands. A whole bunch of other countries, and that's the part that they don't, that's the real education that they don't show. They'll never show you the revolution. They'll tell you how they quashed it with them and how they made nice with the people, but they will not tell you that there was a revolution in order to get there. We don't realize, I was talking with a friend of mine, and this was a conversation between two people of color, but from very different backgrounds. She is from a West Indian culture. Is it West Indian or Mediterranean? Some island culture. And I didn't mean to be flippant like that. It's just I didn't remember. But she's from an island culture, and I'm from American mainland culture. And we were talking about slavery, and we were talking about how on many of the islands that slaves were delivered to, how they fought back so vociferously. And she thought that didn't happen here in the States. And so I had to sit and tell her, like, no, we actually did do a lot of fighting. There were a lot of slave rebellions. They were all over the place. Unfortunately, what happens in this country, because the people who lose the people who win tell the story. So we have you know who they are. I ain't got to say it. You know who they are. We have them telling the story, and they do not want to tell the part where they got their asses whooped. Would you want to tell the part of the fight where you got your ass whooped? No, because that's the embarrassing part. And we have let that leak into our culture, and now it is into what we called our educational system. That's why when you hear me talk about the educational system in this country, I'm not a big fan, because I know that shit like that is done. It is watered down, it is cut up, it is repackaged to give you some pretty picture of what the fuck it is they want you to believe, but that is not actually what the fuck happened. And I think it's a waste of time. They take up 12 to 16 years of your fucking time teaching you how to be a pliable fucking robot. So, yeah. I have no idea where I left off, what the fuck I was talking about originally, or how I got here. All I know is that I am here now. Excuse me. Excuse me. Watch out for the way they are trying to resell you bullshit. Because that's all they're trying to do is resell you the same shit. What's happening now happened World War II, the Nazis. It's not a new, there's no new play. There's no new way to Nazi. There's no new fucking way to Nazi. It's the same book written by the same deficient motherfuckers, and they are so deficient. Like, that is the thing that, and they've been taught to think that they are superior, but they are the most mediocre type of human ever created. They are actually the shit. Like, at the end of a whole genetic code, they are the shit that's left over at the end. Like in the movie Twins with Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger, how Danny DeVito's character was all the shit that got pushed into the other egg. That's really what white men are. They are the shit that's left over from genetic humanity, because that is where you find Neanderthal culture, not in this. That being said, watch your rebranding. You have to watch what they're telling you. You have to be smart enough to go and do your research. You have to be smart enough to ask questions. You have to begin to ask, where did all of this shit that I do, why do I do it? Self-examination is the most worthwhile thing that you are going to do in your entire life. People think that is having children. I promise you. Getting to know you is a whole different adventure. Everybody I know who has had children and hasn't examined themselves is miserable. Yeah, y'all are fucking miserable. You have no idea what to do with your lives. You have no idea what to do with your children. You're trying to figure out how to exist in this world and be better while still holding on to traditions and beliefs that you have outgrown and you know don't serve you. So yeah, y'all are miserable. And it pains me to look at you, because we encounter you in your public spaces and your energy stinks. You can smell a miserable person. You can smell somebody who's not happy with their life, because all they want to do is start trouble to keep themselves occupied, to keep themselves engaged with something so that they don't got to think about their misery. They ready to take you toe to toe. They're ready to argue and cuss and fight and fuss and all the rest of that so they don't have to remember how miserable their shit is. So yeah, it's worth it to come and have this conversation, to watch for your rebranding. Watch for what it is they're trying to repackage and shove down your motherfucking throat. It's bullshit. It's the same bullshit from the field. It's the same bullshit that the bull probably chewed on again after it shitted out the first time. Bullshit. And you have to be smarter. Somewhere along the line, Black people lost the pride that we used to have in being smarter than white people. Whether white people believed us or not, we knew we were smarter. We knew that we had outbested them. We knew we had outlasted them. We knew we'd outsmarted them. We outran them. We outjumped them. We outhumaned them. Mostly because they don't even have a hue. We outhuman you. So, and I'm not in the habit. I refuse to argue with people who make little quips online and say shit like, "Well, y'all were slaves" and shit like that, trying to get a rise out of you. I don't give a fuck about any of that. Y'all say that like it means something. It means more to you than it does to me. Shit, I've never been in change sugar. So eat your heart out, and you won't get me anymore. So there's that. Yeah. And I know that's your agenda, though, because we're smarter than you. I just told you that. Yeah. We know what your agenda is. We also know that we're not going. That's the part that none of us have to say out loud. It's understood. What's understood don't need to be said. So with that, if you happen to come across this video and you felt some sort of way with the last few minutes of it, you should come back next week for the next one. We'll finish up there. I'm Uncle Devious. You know what to do. If you like the video, like the video. If you didn't, come back next week for the next video. Maybe you'll like that one.